ladies, because the leaked scripts for next week just landed, and what they are doing to Dante and Sunny is downright criminal. I am talking about an insider leak so massive that it is going to completely rewrite the entire Sweeps Week landscape and leave us all absolutely breathless. If you thought the WSB drama was intense before, you have absolutely no idea what kind of explosive casting shakeup and storyline twist is about to hit your screens in the upcoming episodes. Right now, the tension in Port Charles is absolutely suffocating, and the stakes have never been higher. We all know that Britt Westbourne and Rocco Falconeri are currently on the run, terrified for their lives, while Ross Cullum has been playing everyone in town like a cheap fiddle. Dante Falconeri has been running himself completely ragged trying to track down his son and Britt, relying on those questionable breadcrumbs from Cassius Faison. But Dante is a seasoned detective through and through, and his police instincts are screaming that something is terribly, terribly wrong with Cullum's recent movements. The leaked scripts reveal that Dante finally catches onto Cullum's shady behavior, and what he does next changes everything. Instead of running to his father, Sonny Corinthos, or his ex-wife, Lulu Spencer, Dante makes a fateful decision to go rogue. He decides not to alert anyone because he knows that if Sonny gets involved prematurely, it will turn into a massive mob shootout, and if Lulu knows, her sheer panic might tip their hand. With his years of investigative experience, Dante decides to go completely off the books to secretly tail Cullum. He shadows the dirty WSB agent through the dark, winding roads on the outskirts of Port Charles, keeping his headlights off and maintaining a safe distance. Let me tell you guys, this sequence is going to have you on the edge of your seat. Dante follows Cullum all the way to a desolate, abandoned warehouse located far from the prying eyes of the PCPD. But my insider leak confirms that this is not just some empty, dilapidated building. This location is actually a fully operational, highly classified WSB black site that Cullum has been using as his personal base of operations. Dante slips into the shadows, using every single ounce of his tactical training to stay completely hidden. He creeps along the catwalks and manages to position himself right above the main floor, where he eavesdrops on a chilling, clandestine rendezvous. Cullum is not alone in that warehouse. He is meeting with a highly dangerous, ruthless operative named Harker. Now, if you ask me, Harker is about to become one of the most terrifying villains we have seen on this show in years. As Dante listens from the darkness, Cullum drops a bombshell that absolutely made my jaw hit the floor when I read the leaked script. Cullum reveals to Harker that he has just received fresh, verified intelligence pinpointing the exact location where Britt and Rocco are hiding out in the British Virgin Islands. But here is the truly terrifying part, ladies. Instead of mobilizing a fully armed WSB tactical team or alerting the local authorities to make an official arrest, Cullum makes it crystal clear that he is taking matters into his own hands. He tells Harker that he is going to travel to the island alone to handle Britt and Rocco personally. He specifically states that he wants absolutely no interference, no witnesses, and no loose ends left behind. Cullum firmly believes that the only way to ensure his master plan succeeds and his secrets stay buried is to eliminate Britt and Rocco with his own two hands. He is acting as a completely autonomous assassin at this point, and the sheer malice in his voice is enough to send shivers down your spine. I have to say, I am absolutely terrified for Britt right now. We already know her Huntington's disease symptoms are rapidly progressing because she does not have her medication, and she is incredibly vulnerable. And poor Rocco is just a young kid caught in the devastating crossfire of this massive international conspiracy. Cullum closing in on them entirely alone means he is not planning on reading them their rights. He is planning a cold-blooded execution. As I was reviewing these upcoming episodes, I could not help but wonder if Cullum is doing this specifically to cover up the fact that Rocco was the one who shot him earlier at Windermere. He wants revenge, and he desperately wants to silence the only two people who know the absolute truth about his double agent status and his ties to the escaped Jen Sidwell. But the absolute horror of this leaked script does not stop there. Before Cullum leaves the warehouse to hunt down our runaways, he gives Harker a very specific, very deadly set of orders that will change the fabric of Port Charles forever. Harker is commanded to stay behind in town with one primary critical objective. He must stall Dante, Lulu, and Sonny Corinthos by any means necessary. Cullum knows perfectly well that Sonny has the unlimited resources and the underground connections to tear the globe apart looking for his grandson. He also knows that Lulu is a desperate mother who will stop at nothing to get her child back. So, Cullum looks Harker dead in the eye and gives him the ultimate green light to use lethal force. He explicitly tells Harker that if Sonny becomes too much of a threat to their operation, Harker has full, unrestricted authorization to kill the mob boss without even needing to call in for further instructions. You guys, Cullum just declared a full-scale, bloody war on the entire Corinthos organization. Giving a trained hitman a blank check to assassinate Sonny Corinthos is a move that guarantees absolute chaos during sweeps week. I am sitting here thinking, does Cullum really understand the hornet's nest he is kicking? But this just goes to show how desperate, cornered, and utterly unhinged the WSB agent has become. He is more than willing to burn the entire town of Port Charles to the ground just to get what he wants and protect his cold fusion secrets. Hiding in the shadows above, Dante hears every single terrifying word of this sinister plot. The devastating realization washes over him that his teenage son is about to be murdered by a rogue government agent, and his own father is actively marked for death by a professional killer. Dante knows he has to get out of that warehouse immediately to warn Sonny and Lulu before the deadly trap snaps completely shut. He carefully begins to back away, trying to slip out the exact same way he came in, moving with extreme caution. But in classic daytime soap opera fashion, a tiny, almost microscopic misstep changes the course of everything. As Dante shifts his weight to leave, his foot brushes against a loose piece of scrap metal on the catwalk. The scraping noise echoes loudly through the cavernous, silent warehouse. Harker's head instantly snaps toward the sound, and the ambush is triggered in a fraction of a second. Dante's a phenomenal fighter, and the leaked scripts detail an epic, brutal hand-to-hand combat scene that is going to blow fans away. Dante drops down and fights back with everything he has, landing some incredibly heavy, punishing blows against Harker. However, he is hopelessly, tragically outnumbered. Harker had a team of heavily armed backup operatives waiting in the wings just in case things went sideways. They swarmed Dante from all sides, overwhelming the brave detective with sheer brute force and numbers. Despite his valiant effort to fight his way out, a devastating, crushing blow to the back of the head sends Dante crashing hard to the concrete floor, knocking him completely unconscious before he can even reach for his phone to send an SOS text to his father. When Dante finally regains consciousness, he is no longer in the dusty warehouse. He has been dragged, bound, and thrown into a secret, heavily fortified underground holding facility. Harker stands over him with a cruel, mocking smirk on his face. Now, you might be wondering, why on earth didn't Harker just kill Dante right then and there when he had the chance? Well, my inside sources tell me that Harker is playing a much longer, much sicker psychological game. Harker decides to keep Dante alive specifically to use him as the ultimate bait. Harker knows that having Sonny's son as a hostage is the absolute perfect leverage to lure the mob boss, or Lulu, directly into a fatal, inescapable trap. Harker is quickly emerging as a villain who is just as calculating, cold-blooded, and dangerous as Cullum, if not significantly more so. He is setting the stage for a massive showdown, and poor Dante is locked away, completely helpless to warn his family about the impending doom heading their way. Meanwhile, back in Port Charles, the silence is absolutely deafening. Sonny and Lulu are completely unaware of the violent, bloody struggle that just took place at the Black Site. All they know is that Dante has suddenly, inexplicably gone radio silent. He is not answering his cell phone, he is not checking in with the PCPD, and his GPS tracker has been completely disabled. This terrifying disappearance happens right at the most critical, nail-biting juncture of their desperate search for Britt and Rocco. Lulu is already in a state of sheer, unadulterated panic, having just recently confessed to Laura Collins about Rocco being the one who shot Cullum. When Dante goes missing without a trace, Lulu's anxiety absolutely goes through the roof, fearing the absolute worst. But Sonny Corinthos is no fool, ladies. His legendary mob instincts immediately kick into high gear the second Dante misses a scheduled check-in. Sonny knows his son better than anyone. He knows Dante would never, ever just abandon the mission to find his own child without a word. Sonny feels it deep in his gut. Dante stumbled onto something massive, something incredibly dangerous, and got taken out of the equation by a professional. This sudden, chilling disappearance is the exact catalyst that forces Sonny to realize they are no longer just dealing with a simple missing persons case. They are dealing with a highly organized, lethal enemy who is actively, aggressively hunting their entire family. Guys, this incredible twist sets the stage for the most epic, heart-pounding dual rescue mission we have seen in the history of this show. We are looking at a storyline that is absolutely going to dominate the upcoming sweeps week ratings. On one front, Sonny and Lulu are going to have to tear the city apart to find Dante, knowing deep down that he is likely being held captive by a ruthless killer. They are walking straight into Harker's carefully laid trap, and the emotional stakes have never been higher. Sonny will have to unleash his full mob boss persona to get answers, and I have a feeling he is going to tear through the WSB operatives like a hurricane. On the completely opposite front, we have Ross Cullum on a private jet hurtling toward the British Virgin Islands with murder on his mind. Britt and Rocco are sitting in their tropical hideout, completely oblivious to the fact that the Grim Reaper is literally knocking on their front door. They still foolishly think they have time to figure out their next move, maybe grab their passports and run to another island, but Cullum is already closing the distance at terrifying speed. The walls are rapidly shrinking around them, and Britt is too sick to put up a fight. It is going to be a heart-stopping, white-knuckle race against the clock. Will Sunny and Lulu manage to find Dante in time to get the location and send backup? Or will Cullum reach the island and execute his sinister, bloody plan before anyone can stop him? The suspense is literally killing me. What do you guys think is going to happen next? Will Dante find a miraculous way to escape Harker's clutches and warn his family, or is Sunny going to walk right into a deadly ambush trying to save his beloved son? Drop your thoughts, your wildest theories, and your predictions down in the comments below, because I want to read every single one of them.